Family, today I want to talk about storytelling, not as performance, but as leadership. Hi, and welcome to the 10 Commandments of Leadership podcast. Here we educate, equip, and empower emerging leaders with God thought leadership. And we present current events and newsmakers in the light of best practices from the Bible. A Forbes February 11 article by Cheryl Robinson entitled, Want to be a great leader? Use this leadership communications network framework. Reminds us that stories are up to 22 times more memorable than facts. Stories are 22 times more memorable than facts, but she goes deeper. She says great leadership stories require stakes, listener relevance, and vulnerability with purpose. Jesus knew this. Every time someone asked him a question, he answered with a story. Not theory, not PowerPoint, but story, a parable, a Christ object lesson. And those stories carry truth. People could walk home with those. Zig Ziglar did it, and Tony Robbins still does it. And here's what I've learned. People don't want to hear about Daniel in the lion's den. They want to hear about Tim in the lion's den, or simply insert your name in place of Tim. That's what they want. They want you in your story. But here's the twist. Never tell the story where you are the hero or the shero. Tell the ones where you learned or was the brunt of the joke. That's why EMC squared exists. It lives at the intersection of data and lived testimony. Because data alone feels clinical, and testimony alone feels purely, anecdotal. But when they meet, transformation becomes believable. I don't share my egoholism recovering journey for sympathy. I share it for leadership alignment. Why? Because vulnerability with purpose doesn't weaken leaders, it humanizes them. And that's how culture changes. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for the 10 Commandments of Leadership podcast. In fact, join us each weekday for the Tim Alston's Leadership Nuggets, educating, equipping, and empowering emerging leaders to manage ego problems in 60 seconds. Airing each weekday at 7 a.m., 1 p.m., and 7 p.m. Central Time, as well as continue to join us each weekday afternoon for these 10 Commandments of Leadership podcast, 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And all of these program episodes are available on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. We'll see you then. And again, invite a friend. Bye-bye.